What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? Let us fire it up. I'm going to get so owned in this game. It's time that we get to the Steam Top 50 and seeing what the latest trends are. Gary's mod. There's TF2. It's usually around somewhere. Oh, it's snakes. Does it just have really high retention? This genre is still viable. Or you just gotta shoot his butt. There was kind of a trend for a while. Like that is just the way things work. We did it! We always have interesting new things to talk about. And we're gonna play Praey for the Gods today, which, if you are a long-time Clark Tank viewer, you will remember that we watched the trailer for that, like, how long ago was it? It was like 2 years, maybe, on Kickstarter. And we backed it on Kickstarter, and then a couple days ago in my email I saw that I had the Steam key for Praey for the Gods, so like of course we gotta play that, and it's in its Steam top sellers too, so, and yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year. All kinds of stuff are happening in the game industry. It feels like there was like a peaceful age for a while during our previous Clark Tanks. There was always stuff to talk about, but yet now things are like, I don't know, a lot is happening, which is exciting. Let's get started because there's a lot to talk about today. I wanted to mention, after last Clark Tank, we've been talking a bit about Forager, because you remember it was on the, it was on this chart, which is the most wish lists, top wish lists. So Forager is here, Industries of Titan is there, and Mariano, I guess the developer of it, either he was watching the Clark Tank or watching the VOD of it or something, and we mentioned it, and he says that they are currently sitting at 112,000 wish lists, hoping for 160K. I hope they get there. That's an awesome goal. But yeah, they Industries of Titan, I can't remember exactly what we're at, but I think we're over 130,000. So again, we still don't know exactly what this chart means, this top wish list chart. Forager is higher than Titan by a little bit, but it sounds like we actually have more wish lists than them. So again, my theory is that this is not total wish lists. It's maybe wish lists in the last 24 hours or something like that. That is how we surmise the chart works for top sellers. So for like the global top sellers, it's some kind of sliding window, either 12 hours or 24 hours. And that's how Steam figures out, you know, what to show on the top sellers chart. So it would make sense that they would use something kind of similar for this chart. And yeah, thanks to Mariano for letting us know how many wish lists they've got, because that's just one more piece of information to help us decipher how this chart works exactly. And yeah, it's just an interesting chart. I really like this one because all of these games are like pretty interesting ones, and they're all unreleased games. So it's I find it interesting to take a look at and see what's changing. I wanted to talk about this. We've mentioned it a little bit before in the Clark Tank, but now that Steam Spy is not around, we have a little bit less, information to go on. But I think that we kind of haven't been paying enough attention to this follower stat. So it's one of the few public pieces of information that we have about a game before it launches. So, the developers, obviously, they know how many wish lists they've got. They may or may not share that. Now they're able to share that if they want to. But for any game, if you go to steamcommunity.com/games and then put in the app ID, you can find the app ID just by going to that game's store page on Steam. You put in the app ID, you'll be able to see how many followers they have, which it's pretty cool. It would be nice if we had a tool that was scraping this. And I was going to ask if anybody in the Clark Tank community is interested in making such a tool. I would donate some funds to, help cover your time. But it would just be, a tool for everyone, not just for me. It's the only information that we have before launch, of course. But it would be really nice to know, okay, on launch day or just the day before their launch, how many followers did they have? And then we could then, if we were also scraping like after 1 month, on sale, how many reviews did they have? And then we could correlate, how predictive is, the number of followers that you have for, the success of the game, the number of reviews that it has, that sort of thing. And also if indies are willing to share their wishlist numbers at launch, then we could also correlate, how many followers to wishlists and stuff like that. Yeah, if anybody else can think of tools that would help us get a better handle on what's going on, what's selling well, and why, and better predictive power to be able to tell what is selling well. The reasons that we want those sorts of things: number one, to be able to tell what's selling so that we can see what are the trends, what is selling well now, are certain genres on the rise or on the decline. That helps us to make better decisions as developers about what game should we make next. Is this genre that I'm interested in going to be viable or not? And then also to be able to predict whether or not a game is going to do well. It's not just for fun. It's so that if you have a game and you put up a coming soon page on Steam, you would be able to look at your followers or your wish lists and things like that and be able to tell, like, oh, it seems like this is going to do reasonably well, knowing that other games that had this many followers, had X number of reviews after the first month, then maybe yours would be in a similar ballpark. So the more data that we have, the more we can figure out what that range would be, and then you can make more intelligent decisions about what to do with your game, because you want to know, does it look like people are hyped about this? Should I keep going at the current scope? Should I scope up maybe and spend a bit more time to polish it up and make sure that the launch is amazing? Or am I not getting any traction at all, and maybe I should cancel this or scope it down? Having that sort of information helps prevent that situation which happens sometimes, where indies kind of ostrich and stick their head in the ground and work on a thing for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then come up and launch it, and it doesn't always do as well as they'd hoped. So, helping to prevent tragedies like that, where people may have mortgaged their houses and had more confidence in their game's chances than they should have been. Tools that would help us do that. Next up is the ICO Partners Steam Newsletter. So I think if you search for ICO Steam Newsletter, you can sign up for this. And what they do is they look at the 156 new releases from last week, and I think they're just sorting them by total number of reviews. Excuse me. Which is useful, but it's also going to skew things. As we can see, Slay the Spire, it did not get 23,000 reviews in the last week. It's because it was early access, right? So it would be nice to have tags showing which games just came out of early access, so that we're not misled by that sort of thing. Also, in order to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples, we would want to make sure that we're always looking at 7 full days of data, because if we're just looking at last week and we start on Monday and end on Sunday, if a game launched on Sunday, then it only has 1 day worth of time to accumulate reviews. So what we really want to do is look at the games, that the week full of games that have 7 days worth of data, and then compare them on an equal basis. In order to do that, you would need to be scraping and storing that data. Let's just take a look quickly through the ICO Steam Newsletter. So they picked up Slay the Spire. I guess it came out of early access. I didn't know that was happening, but yeah, man, I played Slay the Spire a lot, got super addicted to it. Resident Evil 2, not surprising that it's up there. Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2, not too surprising to see it in the charts either. Red Crucible 2 Reborn, not sure what this is. You'd think that, whenever you're recording a trailer for your game, that you would put it on the beefiest computer that you could find, so that you could get your frame rate up. It looks like 10 FPS or something. Yeah, it looks like a Battlefield sort of a game. Or maybe it's mission-based. What else do we have in here? The Hong Kong Massacre. Yeah, this one is interesting to me. So this looks like a Hotline Miami sort of game, but with higher production values. Yeah, so that game... has there been a Hotline Miami-ish sort of game recently? But yeah, Hotline Miami and Hotline Miami 2 both did so well, so you would expect, a more polished version of it to do reasonably well too, which, it seems to be doing okay, although it launched almost 2 weeks ago. Synthetic Arena. This one, When Ski Lifts Go Wrong, I think is pretty interesting, and At the Gates is pretty interesting too. So let's take a look at those two, and then we'll keep on trucking. Looks more like a bridge building game, but instead of with bridges, it's ski jumps and ski lifts and things like that. Which, again, like we've talked about before, I think that games that, let streamers and YouTubers laugh because of the funny situations that occur, or just playing this with your friends and laughing about the stuff like that. It's clever, and basically they took a game from a known genre, which is like bridge building games. There's a number of them, like Polybridge and others, that have done reasonably well. They made a bridge building game, but reskinned it and added, even more funny sort of physicsy hijinks. When people are involved, it's even funnier. Whereas with Polybridge, like there's vehicles and stuff like that. But this is even more relatable because humans are getting hit in the face by skis and stuff like that. So it's pretty funny. So yeah, this is kind of like Line Rider, I suppose. But yeah, like this is the kind of game design that I think can come from looking at trends, looking at genres that are doing well, or games that are doing well, and turning them into a genre. Because maybe now bridge builder-ish games with different themes, kind of a subgenre in a way. So yeah, it's a smart bet, I think, making this type of game, and probably not that labor intensive. Like the art required for this type of game is not that difficult to produce. So I like it. I think it's smart. Right, at the gates, and the art style, it's nice and well made, but I guess it doesn't have to be 3D, but often these days it's 3D, so something like Northgard or Bad North. So yeah, the designer of Civ 5, the designer of Sid Meier's Civ 5, yeah, that's funny, Quixote. But yeah, that's a hook. People are going to give you the benefit of the doubt if you've made successful games in the past. But yeah, I think the problem, like we talked about before, with working on something for too long, 7 years is a long time. If this game had come out, after 2 years or something like that, its chances of success may have been much higher. Not that it's doing poorly, but yeah, and it's got mixed reviews. But I think that, like I said, things like Northgard and Bad North and other strategy games that are doing well, that's a bit more what people expect on Steam these days. So a long dev cycle may have caused problems in that regard. Battle Brother can find success. Maybe the art style. Yeah, that's true. Battle Brother's art is not super amazing either. However, let's look at the review scores of Battle Brothers. I think it's quite high.
It all went wrong.
Yeah.
It was an
87%. Yeah, so I guess it shows that, the art is not the only thing, especially in the strategy genre. I think it's probably one of the more forgiving genres, because people who play strategy games tend to be more, interested in what they're imagining in their brain is happening than necessarily the visuals. All right, moving on. We got a lot of other stuff to get to today, so just quickly wanted to talk about Steam working on store features. They improved the DLC browsing experience, which is pretty good, because there are some games like Fantasy Grounds that has 1,000 DLC. There's plenty of games that have like tons and hundreds of DLC these days, and so now you can group them and kind of view them in groups. And oh yeah, so Steam also, another thing they did is they made it so that social media links now can be placed on the store pages. So down here is what you can do. So I think it always had the website thing, but now you can link it to your Facebook page, your Twitch stream, which is this one, Twitter, YouTube, and stuff like that. I don't know how much traffic we're actually getting. I don't think I've tried to analyze, what the effects of this are, but especially when you launch a game, you get like a crap ton of traffic on your page if the game is doing well. So hopefully that will help, boost your presence on social media and being able to like reconnect with your fans. Valve does listen. I think, Lars, did you do an article about this where looking at all the things that people have suggested to Valve, and I'm not sure if you covered it in an article or not, but they do listen to the things that we've suggested to them. Like, I think all of the stuff that I've mentioned to them that I thought was important has been improved. So yeah, Valve also posted a year in review thing. So last Clark Tank we talked about, they posted, the top sellers in various categories, and they ranked them in like platinum, gold, and silver, and we went through and talked about that. But they also posted just some interesting stats of like peak concurrent users and daily active users. And so yeah, I think they're just trying to show, because they, had a bit of backlash when they changed their rev share, and some indies were definitely upset. So, and some people were saying, what are you doing to earn this cut? So I think they're trying to show, like, look at all this stuff that we're doing, and it definitely is quite a lot. Oh yeah, this was so ICO partners. So these are the folks that made that newsletter that we were looking at before, that showed games released in the last 7 days, ranked by number of reviews. But they also, looks like they do interesting articles and analysis, I think some of which you can buy, or you can hire them to do these sorts of things, which is interesting. And they have an article on crowdfunding in 2018. So yeah, this is an analysis. I guess they scraped Kickstarter data and compiled it, and so you can see Kickstarter, was growing quite a lot until 2015, and now it's tapering off a little bit, which is interesting. I wonder why that would be. And then total number of projects is declining, so that could certainly be a part of it. I guess that is the reason why. Is maybe at the beginning people were really excited about Kickstarter and the potential of it, and now have realized that it's still difficult. It's a lot of work. So total number of people adding new projects is declining. But we're more interested in game stuff, which they talk about down below a bit. So yeah, total number of projects per year, funded, not funded. So yeah, it seems like early on most projects were funded, maybe because people who were visiting Kickstarter were more excited about projects, and maybe hadn't been burned by Kickstarter projects that failed. I imagine most of you out there, like me, have been burned by either the Kickstarter just never delivering what they said, or by delivering something that was not as good as was promised. So yeah, I think you see in 2015 it was especially bad. It's interesting, the number of actual successfully funded ones is holding steady-ish. So yeah, the people who are still submitting are, I guess, doing a better job of their submissions, and the people who are kind of posting frivolous ones and just hoping for the best, maybe that's tapering off a bit. But categories at a glance. So yeah, games has always been number one or close to number one, and design was pretty high. Looks like in 2018 it's gone up, which is interesting. So most other things are declining, especially technology. That's very interesting. Technology has dropped off a lot, and games have gone up a bit. Evolution between 2018 per category. Yeah, so games are up 16%. Journalism's up a lot. Interesting. Technology is way down. Games on Kickstarter, now a third of the money raised on platform. I did hear some people talking on Twitter, some people who had Kickstartered games, that there's a few outlier games that are, responsible for a large percentage of these of the revenue, which, skews things, I suppose. But if that happens every year, then it's consistent. Tabletop games way up, and regular games, yeah. So dominated by tabletop games. So that is interesting. Video games only made 16 million. Tabletop games made 165 million. Yeah, but what are the profit margins? Because the tabletop games, you have to produce physical stuff and ship it. Tabletop games growth 20% year over year. All right, we're gonna do video games. Yes. Little variation from previous years. Okay, so there was definitely a heyday in 2013. Then drop off in 2014 and came back in 2015. I wonder if that's just like one or two outlier real big games skewing things. And seems relatively stable the last few years at 20 million-ish. But yeah, that is pretty crazy. It just shows, like, for whatever reason, Kickstarter, the audience there, really freaking loves physical stuff. Number of projects per year in video games declining. That's amazing how steady the number of funded ones are. The total number is all over the map, but the number of funded, it's just like, does that mean that there's just a certain amount of appetite on Kickstarter. There's only a certain amount of projects that Kickstarter can support, and then their users just get full. So this was an interview with Sergey, the guy who made Steam Spy and who also works at Epic and is involved heavily with the Epic Store. He's talking about the Epic Store. Yeah, he says that, Steam is not as ubiquitous as you might think. Only half of Fortnite players have Steam installed, and only 60% of them actively use it. That is pretty surprising, because you'd think that, of the hundreds of millions of people that have Steam, that there would be a lot of overlap between them and Fortnite players, because they're using their PC to play games, but that's not the case. So that means that Steam still has a lot of room to grow. And that Epic Store has a different kind of audience that they're catering to right now. And yeah, he talks about how influencers are affecting the Epic Store because influencers get a cut of the games that they refer people to on the Epic Store. One cool thing the Epic Store has is that when people buy your game, they are automatically following you. I think as a developer. I'm not sure if they mean as a developer or just as the game, but they will get notifications, about things that you do. I think you can send messages to them and things like that. From what I've heard, Epic really wants to make it so that it's kind of like your store page, and you can do what you want with the people who come to your store page, which is definitely appreciated. So it feels more like they're your customers, which would make it easier for you to build a business over time. I think Steam is taking steps to change that a little bit. Now with the publisher page, you can follow the publisher directly. They also have the social media links and things like that. So stuff like that is appreciated. But we definitely cannot email our customers directly. It has to be through Wishlists and stuff like that. So yeah, it's appreciated that Epic is thinking about these sorts of things, and it makes it so that you can be more confident that you'll be in business after your next game, which is certainly a nice thing to have as an indie developer. So based on data you have, influencer traffic is actually internal Steam traffic. But yeah, Lars showed that when you get a burst of outside traffic, then you actually get more internal traffic from Steam as a result. I guess because Steam sort of, maybe it detects that something interesting is going on, or maybe it just sort of bumps it up into another tier where the algorithm, treats it a little bit differently. So yeah, and the actual outside traffic that you bring may be dwarfed by the inside extra traffic that you get from Steam itself. It could be that if you only get a small amount of traffic, it doesn't bump you up, enough for the algorithm to pay more attention or something like that. But if you get enough, a certain amount, then that might bump you into a different tier. Not exactly sure how it works. So yeah, I did notice something similar. I went back and looked at our stats because we've had a few different influencers linked to Necrodancer as well. And I did definitely see more traffic from other parts of Steam. I don't think it was as pronounced as what you saw, but that just could be because it was during a sale. So yeah, more Epic stuff. So the big news recently was that Metro Exodus made a deal with Epic to go exclusive on the Epic Store. And yeah, this generated some backlash for sure, and a reaction from Valve. I've heard that the developers' other games got review bombed on Steam because of them making Metro Exodus exclusive to Steam. And I was wondering, did that happen to any of the other developers who also announced exclusives? Like, did the Supergiant folks get review bombed when they put Hades exclusive on Steam? No. Yeah, that's true. Hades was never announced for sale on Steam. That's a good point. And the other key distinction, I think, is that with Metro Exodus, they were selling pre-orders, yeah, and Hades never was. So that makes a big difference. So it's good to note, if you were considering putting your game on the Epic Store, then yeah, these are factors to consider. So look at Metro Exodus's store. Valve put up a special notice here. So yeah, at first I was wondering how they were going to honor their commitment to these pre-sales if it was going to be exclusive to the Epic Store. But I suppose it means kind of exclusive to the Epic Store in that they will still put it on Steam, but the only people who will be able to access it on Steam is people who previously pre-ordered it. So I think that caused a bit of a spike, because if people wanted it on Steam but didn't want to, have to install the, the Epic Games Store launcher and that sort of stuff, they rushed out to buy it before Valve removed it, because for a little while this message actually said it's going to be removed like later today or something like that. So I think there was a bit of a rush. All right, so let's do our actual homework, which is checking out the Steam Top 50, seeing what's new, what's moving around, and PUBG, as usual, near the top somewhere. Ace Combat 7: Skies Unknown. This just launched yesterday. Let us check it out. It feels a bit like a mecha anime or something, except there's not mecha. It's
a country to call home.
Fighter planes. All right, I think we get the idea. Ace Combat. I'm pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to be more of like a hardcore, just accurate combat sim. But yeah, that looks interesting. So yeah, mixed reviews, but still doing well. It didn't manage to bump off PUBG from the top spot though. And then Subnautica, yeah, I'm a bit surprised that this didn't bump. Okay, so it did temporarily bump off PUBG. Looks like it was higher before. All right, let's check this out. So this is, I think it's like an expand-alone for Subnautica, and Subnautica was just like a massive hit. Yeah, that's true, Sir Karma. It doesn't really show gameplay. Yeah, awesome to see that game doing so well. Not surprising at all, considering Subnautica's success, but at the same time, there are plenty of indie sequels that don't do well. This isn't really a sequel, I guess. I think it's supposed to be more like an expansion, a non-DLC expansion, which sometimes when developers do that, people get upset. They would rather that it was, a DLC or something like that, or a free update. They, often would prefer. So yeah, the review scores are really good. But yeah, I think I've said before, is it mostly about change? I'm not sure. It seems like it's Strack. But I think I've said before, my theory about why certain sequels do well and why others don't is, well, there's a number of things. So you got to think about what was the situation like, for the launch of the first game. What was the world like? What was the situation like for you as a developer in the game and everything? And is everything the same now? And I think most importantly for this game, did people play through that other game, and when they finished it, were they left wanting more of that? And I think for games like Subnautica, the answer is probably yes. I think for a game like Necrodancer, it's more difficult because a lot of people just do not even beat Necrodancer. Like a large percentage of them don't, because it's a freaking hard game. And it's not a game about content or story or finding the different endings or something like that. It's just about learning the game, getting better at it, and winning, and then winning with more and more difficult characters. Like there's kind of no end to the skill ceiling for Necrodancer. So I do think if we made a straight sequel for Necrodancer, it would probably do reasonably well. There are plenty of hardcore fans, but it would not do as well as the original. Whereas games like this, if it's story based, or if the experience ended and you wanted more of it, then yeah, I think it can work, and I think that's what's going on here for Subnautica, which is great to see. Yeah, so good to see Subnautica below zero doing really well. Okay, CS:GO, unsurprising. So yeah, RE2 came out. A little surprising that this is not higher. I've heard quite a lot of people playing it, a lot of people streaming it. DBZ, there was a big tourney this last weekend, so I think people are hyped. Did they launch a new DLC or anything like that to coincide with the tourney? They added 2 new characters. There you go. Season 2 started. That would be why. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. It's always around somewhere. Same with Dota 2. Warframe has been doing well these last few years. Divinity's up here because it's on sale. For Honor. Why are you back in here? New content of the week. New content of the week. Has it just been climbing because they've been doing updates? They reduced the base price for Honor. Ah, that would do it for sure, Strack. Thank you, Strack, as usual, for being so freaking useful. Wow, it's 50. It's 15 bucks. When did they do that? That's crazy. Subnautica up here because of the hype of their new release, and it's on sale a bit. Only 30%. That's a bit surprising. GTA 5 is always around. Elder Scrolls Online is always around. Rocket League's always around. Civ 6. Black Desert Online is usually around. Chinese Parents. Such a cool game. It's up here because it's on sale. Yeah, Dead by Daylight is usually around. So Sunless Skies came out. From the makers of Sunless Sea, obviously. You'd rather buy Necrodancer? Well, thank you. For Honor has more DLC than Necrodancer. That's true. Is that, like... It sounded like a train, but I guess it's just like a steam-powered airship. It's like interesting Venn diagram, you know, how many people are really into narrative stuff and are interested in, you know, action things. Anyway, I love that games like this that are innovative and, you know, breaking new ground are succeeding on Steam. Makes me very happy. Congrats to the Fail Better folks on their success. All right, Ring of Elysium. What the heck? It's a free game. Huh. It was up here and then it dropped off. I wonder if they had some kind of event. Okay, this is a bike riding game? They took a while to get to bike riding. Okay, it's not a bike riding game. This is just everything. And then they have the illustration stuff interspersed. It's bizarre. What is this? A battle royale? Ah, that would make sense. That would make sense. Why you would sometimes be in a hang glider, sometimes be in a frickin' BMX bike. Monster Hunter World. It's been hanging out in this area for a while. Now, Pray for the Gods. That's what we're going to be playing today. Let's check out this trailer. I want more sound effects from the game, though. They've got a little bit of in there, but Shadow of Colossus a bit, yes, which is great. Looking forward to playing that in a little bit. Okay, Soul Calibur 6. It's already 40% off. It's like 2.5 months. It's pretty fast. Maybe it may not be selling that well. Football Manager. It's always around somewhere. PC Building Simulator. All right, let's see this PC Building Simulator. How is this? How is this a thing? Pure wish fulfillment, but you don't get to have the computer after. Isn't that the reason you like building them? This is crazy. It is a giant ad. Blue screen. I like things like this where just like totally surprise me that these things exist and that humans are like hype about this and it gets in the top sellers. It's amazing. Alright, so Rust. Didn't somebody say something happened with Rust recently? Like, it left early access or something? Was it really in early access this whole time? I think it was. Alright, Path of Exile is usually around. Wargroove. What are you about? Are you a rhythm game? Wargroove is an Advance Wars like. Oh. Interesting. I always had a love-hate relationship with Advance Wars. I liked the gameplay, but just like, it often felt boring and repetitive. I wonder if they've managed to solve that sort of stuff. Dang, this looks cool! So it came out today. Wow, it already has a lot of reviews. So what's its trajectory? It's climbing a bit, but it's leveling off. How does it already have that many reviews? Was it in early access? No, it didn't have anything before here. You can do multiplayer and design your own maps? Oh, much more interesting than Advance Wars. Oh, this game, this is on Switch as well? Yeah, that's the place for it, man. Holy smokes. Endless Space 2 is up here because it's on sale. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Huh. Maybe they were on sale and they're dropping off now. Super Hot's on sale. Foundation. This looks familiar. This just came out today. A gridless, sprawling medieval city building simulation. Oh, man. Unique gridless experience. Yeah, nice and organic. It's gorgeous. The height differential and stuff is great. Look at those fluffy sheeps. That looks freaking cool. If that did not succeed, I would have been shocked. Alright, so Jump Force. Anyway, this is like a Shonen Jump thing with a bunch of characters, anime characters. Not surprising that it's doing well in pre-orders. It's probably going to be quite high in the charts when it launches. Vermintide, okay, it's up here because it's 60% off. War Thunder is usually around somewhere. This is quite erratic. Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. Wait, wasn't this at the top before? We talked about this already. Ark, Shadowverse, these things are normally around. Final Fantasy, Total War 3 Kingdoms. Okay, so this is coming out in a month. It's already in the charts. It's pretty impressive. Dirt's on sale. World of Warships usually around. Farm Together. That sounds smart. Making a multiplayer farming game. Insurgency Sandstorm. We talked about that. Frostpunk is around. Euro Truck Simulator, City Skylines, Forest. These are all perennial things. Dirt. These are on because they're on sale. Wow, Octodad is 93% off. TF2 is usually around. RimWorld, Football Manager, NBA. This is always the one that I use as an example of like games that sell well despite having super negative reviews. Super Hot VR is on sale too. Heat. What is this? Welcome to America. Survive the wilderness. Establish yourself. Meet someone special. Raise a family and dominate. Huh. Fight for your tribe is cheap. Okay, so you can be on both sides. Weird. Weird. Yes, the music was incongruous for sure. Huh. Pantropy. Man, there's a lot of games that came out in the last couple of days. I think a lot of indies were like waiting for Christmas to go away, and then they ended up launching kind of end of January. What happened there? A bunch of rocks just came out. Multiplayer, online multiplayer. Man, there's just more and more of these online multi kind of crafty, survivally, yeah, games. See, this type of game would require so much effort to make. Like, you'd need it to do extremely well. Unfortunately, it's got mixed reviews. My time at Porsche has been around. Re-Legion. Look at all these games. Look at all these games. They're coming out at the end of January. An RTS. With slow-mo. I don't know why, but for some reason, I feel like the cyberpunk fantasy is a little mismatched with this. Like, cyberpunk is still cool and people are, you know, really into it, but do you want to, in a cyberpunk world, be running around with like tons of units? Usually when I think of cyberpunk stuff, I think of like corporations doing bad stuff, yeah, individuals having weird experiences, not so much, you know, massive wars or things like that. Yeah, I think the RTS genre has been overtaken a little bit by, well, a lot of it by MOBAs. Seems like they may have released it a bit too quick. Yeah, by the review scores, it seems like there's probably some bugs or some polish issues. Huh. All right, file that one. Another data point away. Data point about cyberpunk games and RTSs. Volcanoise is also a new one. That's a big drill. That's a weird sidewindery sort of a drill. What? It's a drill that's like a mobile home? Oh, so that's an enemy drill. So like there's your drill and then there's other people's drill houses and you go in there and you mess them up. Yeah, I do think the defense games are significantly different audience than RTS games. I feel like defense games are less stressful also than RTS games. They have some similarities for sure, but that distinction, that stress and feeling of like inadequacy, you always feel inadequate, at least I always did, playing RTS games. But yeah, with defense games, the pacing and that feel can be significantly different. Alright, so Farming Simulator 19 and Anno, I guess it must be Anno 1800. They're still pumping out the Anno games. It must be up for pre-order. Wow, they don't even have a trailer yet. That's surprising. Alright, so that wraps up the top 50. We already talked about this top wish lists chart a bit. Now we take a look at new and trending just to make sure we didn't miss anything. Orbital. Oh, so you got like a little planet and you're shooting artillery at other planets? Alright, it's got a few. It's got 19 reviews. Okay, Lovecraft's Untold Stories. What's this about? Looking kind of roguelike. Activating weird shrines. Yeah, roguelike. There's your boy. Yeah, I feel like it could have ended stronger there, this trailer. So yeah, this is like moderately successful roguelike game. Yeah, it seems like pretty good, but nothing really stood out to me too much. Hook-wise, the trailer was a little slow at the end. It like didn't really grab me that much for whatever reason. Narrative-driven strategy game. Really. Cyberpunk dungeon crawler with turn-based fights. Oh, okay. Well, this is doing reasonably well if it just launched yesterday, or was it in early access before? Well, yeah, we've seen a few games today where it's like the game looks like it's reasonably well made, you know, made by a team of developers who, you know what they're doing and made a fairly polished game. It's got decent reviews, which is nice. But yeah, it's just not super hooky. You know, dungeon crawlers, strategy games, they can work. But there needs to be a reason why. Why would people pay attention to this? Why would they play this rather than playing Gungeon or playing Slay the Spire or something else, right? It needs to stand out. So this chart is the hypstogram, the histogram that shows us how many games have launched recently. And it seems like more than the last time we Clark tanked. So we're, you know, the average on a weekday is low 20s. But yeah, let's look at Harbor Pirates chart. This is 2019, and we're lower. We're dropping back closer to where we were at back when Greenlight was the thing. So, you know, this Doom, you know, when people saw these slopes, they're like, Doom. But the Doom has not occurred. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if next year we're, you know, even lower than this. All right. That is enough of the Kickstarter report and homework. Let's actually play some video games. Let me fire up Praey for the Gods. Like, oh man, perfect timing. Just before the Clark tank, we get to check out a game that I care a lot about. So hopefully this goes well. It's pretty cool. Yeah, the developers of this game are definitely very good at giving you feels with their cinematics, with their trailers. Attack. What? Are we ringing a doorbell? I think we should maybe not ring this doorbell. Any giants home? Boom. We link. Zelda meets Tomb Raider? Yeah, I guess. Is this fur? Are we climbing on fur? Attack? Oh man. Knock knock. Ancient beast. Oh, I'm scared. Why are we doing this? He was just sleeping there. Could have left it alone. Yeah! Good thing you have that on your waist. Don't shake us off. We're just trying to help you. Oh, we got him. I think it took it easy on us. Rip, giant monster. I feel so bad killing these things. Oh, there he is. Is this 4 more? Yeah, if it's only 5, this is a short game for sure, because how long did that take? I think that took like 20 minutes. But if you have to get a glider, and there could be more environmental stuff with the hook shot and whatnot if you have to... Can we melee these frozen? Whoa, hey, hi. I bet she was probably just going to say something nice. She's crying. Oh my god. Oh my god. That makes me feel even worse. Oh, she's only mean if we come close to her? It plays music. All the weird feels, yes. This game is not the way I was expecting it to be. It's interesting. Looks like there's a fair amount to explore. So yeah, there may only be 5 monsters, but you know, if there's a lot of stuff like this in between each. Whoa! Oh, is it a water monster? What is that? That looks like like a weird hoof. What are you? You gonna shoot a laser beam? You're gonna shoot a laser beam. Here's a button. Whoa. Oh, neat. Okay, keep an eye on that guy. Nope. Oh, no. Whoa. Ouch. Oh, the ball's up. Well, pray for the gods. I think it's pretty fun. Yeah, I think it's just in early access, right? So they're probably gonna add more monsters. It seemed, if it's only 5 monsters, it seemed a little short, perhaps, because if I weren't so bad, I think we would have beat 2 in the first hour or so. So maybe it'd be 3 hours or something for the rest. Although, that's not too bad. For this type of game where, like, what you really want is cool, you know, like high quality monsters, cool vibes to each fight. I think that they were providing that. So I would rather have a more concentrated, awesome experience where everything was high quality, which seems like what they're providing. So yeah, maybe they're just planning to polish that up. Not sure. I definitely did feel bad about killing some of the monsters, though. That first one, it was just like we woke it up by like slamming on its back, and then proceeded to murder it. I think the gameplay and the monster design and stuff like that, and the art direction and the cinematic feel of all of it is really good. And yeah, their trailers are good. They're good at generating suspense with audio and the things that they show. The wolf dragging stuff around makes you wonder what's going on as well. So yeah, pretty clever team. I think good at making people feel stuff, which I think is really important. These days, a lot of people make games and they're just like, oh, it's like a Cthulhu roguelike or something like that. But you know, unless there's something unique that makes the player feel something about the game, then it's just going to be just another roguelike to them, right? Plus, there are a lot of people who are fans of Shadow of the Colossus, so we saw that earlier with that Advance Wars type game, that if you find, you know, a game or a genre that's underserved and you can do a really good job serving it, then you can be reasonably successful. So I think that's what they've done here, and it's awesome to see Kickstarter Wargroove. That's what it was. Thanks, Praey. Yeah, it's awesome to see a Kickstarter game from a little while ago coming out and actually delivering on what they promised it. So we saw earlier with that that report on what's been going on Kickstarter and how things are kind of declining. And I think in large part, you know, my theory is it was kind of going like this, and people were buying in and things were growing, and then I think after the first few years, more and more people started to get burned by projects not completing, and so now people are much more cautious. So it's great to see a game like this delivering on what they promised. I feel like, you know, I got what I signed up for from that Kickstarter back when we backed it on the earlier Clark Tank. So yeah, kudos to the team and congrats to them on their, you know, success in the Steam Top 50 so far. Hope it keeps going for them in early access and beyond. So yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for this Clark Tank. Thanks everyone. This Clark Tank is over.